Around this time last year, I was struggling to get through books in Tagalog written for children. And now, I'm finally glad to say that I finished my first ever novel written in Tagalog. Kamusta mga kaibigan? Ako nga pala si Jacob at higit isang taon na akong nag-aaral ng Tagalog. While I'm still not fully fluent in Tagalog, I am glad to say that I finally reached this milestone. If there's anything I wanted you to take away from this video, it is that you just need to read. I found this quote from Vincent van Gogh, and he said, "If you hear a voice within you say that you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced." The reason why I picked that quote is because the one thing that held me back from actually getting good at reading and finishing my first book was just the fact that I was avoiding it. But this is something that we kind of just need to get over first. That we just need to get started and we just need to commit to it, even if it feels like we're not making progress. I still feel the same way about making videos. I even spent 3 hours yesterday recording a video, and now I'm scratching it and redoing it right now. Here are more reasons why you should favor reading over other techniques like studying flashcards or textbooks, or even massive input like immersion in Netflix or YouTube. And the problem with techniques like that is that they don't fully engage your brain to start thinking like a native. Drills like flashcards and studying, they make you target your practice, but they don't force you to think like a native. They don't force you to immerse yourself in the world like a native speaker would, or learn like a baby, as a lot of people would say. On the other hand, there's watching content like Netflix or YouTube. You start to gain an illusion of comprehension or understanding because of the visual cues in it. While these visual cues are good at giving you a boost of comprehension, you hold yourself back ultimately because you are able to get by just watching instead of fully immersing yourself in the language. Reading allows you to engage in the world like a native speaker purely in just the language and not with any other crutches or breaking it down into tiny bits like flashcards. I found this quote by George R. R. Martin, which says, "A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one." It's kind of like stepping into another person's shoes, specifically the author's shoes, and how they perceive the world, how they perceive the characters and story that they created. It's almost like being able to immerse yourself in another country, but instead of a country, it's the story built by the language that the author uses. So this means that you're able to get natural repetition of the author's grammar structures and vocabulary. And over time, with this natural repetition, you start to gain a feel of their style and their way of speaking. With all that I have said so far, how do we actually start reading books and choosing the right material to begin with? And the most important thing is whatever gets you to read. So whatever you have available is what you need to read. So it doesn't matter if what we're reading is too hard for us right now. It could be easy for us later, because eventually we will be able to engage in content like a native speaker. So you may have noticed by now that I've changed shirts and I'm actually recording almost a week later because I keep procrastinating now. The reason why I bring it up is to bring up the point of consistency. With these videos, I'm breaking it up and recording in short sessions. Pacing yourself and allowing yourself to follow your stamina helps you prevent burnout and helps you stay consistent, because it takes a very long time to get good at reading. The next point I want to talk about is actually how to read. And one of the things that I learned from these bilingual children's books, which gives you a paragraph in English and then the paragraph in Tagalog, was that reading the English first helped me read the Tagalog a lot easier. And I could read the Tagalog a lot faster instead of having to note every single word that I didn't know. I call this reading in layers. Reading things in a layered way like this allows you to gain repetition. Repetitions in different angles. Instead of just doing the same thing over and over again and hoping that it's just going to stick in your head. So you read like peeling an onion. So the first layer of reading is just reading for understanding and helping yourself get into the flow of how the language sounds when you read it. Reading the Tagalog paragraph with a general understanding, and then reading the paragraph again sentence by sentence with a more precise idea of what's going on. And then finally, reading every single word and trying to match it and looking up definitions to see if the translation completely matches up with what I'm reading. While this first technique of layered reading helps you build comprehension by using the skills that you already have, your English skills, your native English skills, this second way of layered reading helps you build speed and a more natural flow to the language. And that is listening while reading. So if you're lucky enough to find an audio recording of whatever you're reading, if you listen to that while reading, it challenges you to read at the same pace as the speaker. So in the description below, I will leave a link to what I was using, which were Tagalog conversations on languagecrush.com. And in it, there are 6 to 10 minute long conversations between two native speakers about various different topics. With each conversation, I would read the English translation first and then listen to the audio conversation while reading along the Tagalog transcript. The nice thing about this is that you can do this over and over again. And with every repetition, you are able to notice different inflections and tones that the speakers are using and how words sound when they are put in different types of sentences. And finally, how to read with your imagination. One of the most powerful ways to learn new vocabulary is to read with visualization. So in the beginning, I was saying that watching content can become like a crutch for comprehension and kind of gives you the illusion that you are understanding, even though you don't. When you make this visual input yourself with your imagination, you are forcing yourself to make these words personal to you. You are forcing yourself to imagine how these words would fit into a world that you have created. When you're able to fit these words into your mental image of whatever scene you're reading, that's when you know you are reading well. And that's when reading starts to become enjoyable instead of something that you are just studying and practicing. And that's why I chose fiction as my genres to read, because with fiction, writers have to build a world. They have to be descriptive of what's going on so that the reader can imagine this unreal world. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you will find some use in these methods to help you get started so that you can finish your first book in Tagalog. Check the description below for the conversations that I study to help me develop my reading skills. And check this video out if you want to learn how I use flashcards to prevent burnout.